This would not have happened 4 years ago. Matter of fact, the reaction would have been the complete opposite. Look at that 5 o'clock shadow dominating women's track and field. This is a sign of progress. Woohoo! Yes, yes, yes. 4 years ago, this would have been celebrated. It would have been viewed as a milestone, an accomplishment. The mainstream media, they would be pushing this story to the masses, trying to convince us that tolerance is the answer, trying to convince us that it's okay for Kay to identify as Jade and compete against girls. But that was then. This is now. Today, the mainstream media is strangely silent. Nothing from the Washington Post. I guess the Star Trek virgin Mike Freeman from USA Today. I guess he's busy. I mean, it is the weekend, the time of the week that Mr. Freeman makes a failed attempt at seducing Master Yoda. There has not been a single mention from the worldwide leader in woke, ESPN. 3 or 4 years ago, ESPN was celebrating Leah Thomas. With this major accomplishment in Oregon this weekend, I figured the woke wiener was already on the grill. I was expecting to see passionate woke hugs at the worldwide leader in woke. Instead, it's complete silence. I wonder why. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84, and you can reach me by email at BTLKC84@gmail.com. This seems to be a recurring theme every year. Couple of weeks before the official start of Woke Christmas on June 1st, some high school in a woke city across the country, they allow a biological male to compete against girls, and the end result, always the same. Kid wins easily, the media pretends like it's some major accomplishment, and the celebration kicks off the 4 weeks of iniquity in June. But this year, it's different. Like I said, the media, they're not celebrating. Hell, the media, they are pretending like this never happened. And I wonder if it has anything to do with the outrage coming from parents. I wonder if it's got anything to do with the thousands, maybe even millions of people who have finally had enough and are speaking against it. At the end of the day, media outlets, they have one goal: make money. The way they make money, by selling advertisements on their websites. Kinda hard to sell those ads when no one is reading your garbage. So maybe, just maybe, the mainstream media has realized that pushing this transgender narrative in sports is bad for business. So instead of polishing the turd and covering stories like this, abiding by the standards of the woke commandments, the media, they are deciding to completely ignore it. Yesterday, the state championships in track and field were held in one of the woke capitals of America, the state of Oregon. If you drive through the city of Portland, there is a chapter of Woke United Methodist on every single corner. The state championships in track and field, they were a bit different this year. The state of Oregon, they had a special attraction, something they knew teenagers and parents were just clamoring to see. Traditionally, you have a championship for the boys and a championship for the girls. Oregon, they decided to spice things up this year by allowing a high school sophomore who identifies as female to compete against young women in the state championship for track and field. Now, I'm not going to waste any more of your time by explaining the physical differences and advantages between young men and young women. We've been covering stories like this for about 4 years now. At this point, you already know. And you didn't need me to explain it in the first place because this audience is filled with people who possess common sense. Aayden Gallagher. Aayden Gallagher is the young sophomore who was allowed to compete in girls' track and field. In the first race, which was the 400-meter dash or whatever the hell they call it, I don't know shit about track and field. When I was in high school, the only time we ran is when cops busted up one of our parties. But in the first race competing against girls, Aayden finished in second place. But that's okay. That's okay. There was still one race remaining. There was a final opportunity for Aayden to realize this dream. Here is a clip of the 200-meter dash or race. You will be able to easily identify Aayden. They're the racer with the cloud of dust behind them along with all the other runners. But listen closely as the race concludes. Listen to the response from parents in the crowd. Roll the film. What was that sound? Did you hear it? Even though we had a visual, it was showing the race only, so that sound towards the end, it's kind of hard to identify. Now, if I were to put on my woke cat, I would say that chorus towards the end of the clip was an owl the size of an elephant performing its mating call. But I am not going to put on my woke hat. I'm going to keep my normal hat on. The sound I heard, it was dozens of parents in the crowd booing the winner of the race. Aayden Gallagher won the race with a time of 23.82 seconds. Winner of the boys' race, they finished with a time of 21.37. Pretty close, right? See, there is no difference between boys and girls. Only 2.5 seconds separated the two winning times. Yeah, that's true. Until you look at the time of the last place finisher on the boys' side. Last place finisher on the boys' side, he finished at 22.44 seconds. Meaning, not only would Aayden Gallagher finish in last place, I doubt Aayden would even qualify to compete in the state championships. That's cool. In Oregon, if you're not seeing your desired results on the boys' side, all you got to do is sign up to compete against girls and all your dreams will come true. After the races, there was a ceremony to honor the winners. It was your typical ceremony where they hang pollinated flowers around the necks of the winners, ensuring they'll have a sinus headache on the way home. They present them with some doofus trophy. Hey, look at me, I run really fast. Some dude in the booth puts on his best radio voice and announces the names of the winners to the crowd. Parents and grandparents cheer as their lovable teenager is announced for last place. Occupying the caboose in last place, in the final position, I apologize, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings by calling them a last place finisher. Finishing in the final position, Rhonda Run Slow. Woo! Yay, Rhonda! Get your participation trophy, girl! We'll put it next to the others. All kidding aside, the young women who worked hard all season, they were recognized in front of their friends and family for their accomplishments. Someone in the crowd, they managed to film the ceremony. Listen to the crowd when the second place finisher is announced. Then, listen as they announce the winner. Watch for yourself. I think it's abundantly clear parents have had enough. Oregon is one of the wokest states in the country. If this reaction was coming from Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, it would be expected. It's somewhat surprising, though, coming from Oregon. Oregon hasn't voted Republican since the year I was born. Been almost 40 years since Oregon was considered a red state. People will tolerate a lot of shit, but one thing the vast majority of people will not tolerate is when you start messing with their children. It was one thing when this was happening at the collegiate level. It was outrageous when the NCAA allowed Leah Thomas to compete against women. It was inexcusable that Leah Thomas was sharing a locker room with young women like Riley Gaines, but Riley Gaines, she was an adult. She was barely an adult, but she was still an adult. What happened in Oregon this weekend, it impacted kids. It's not the first time. I remember around this time last year, we covered something similar in California. Kids, though, Kids should not have to go through this. At 15, 16 years old, you should be thinking about summer vacation. You should be thinking about prom or what dumbass mistake you can make so your parents can step in and clean up your mess. You shouldn't have to worry about your school allowing biological males to compete against you in sports. I've been saying this for years. There's a simple solution to this problem. If the school is allowing this to happen, the young women should come together and unite and refuse to compete. There can't be a winner if there's not a competition. Is it fair? Is it fair to put these young women in a position to make this decision? Obviously not. But it's clear at this point that the adults running the school system, they are refusing to do anything about it. Part of me feels bad for this kid, Aayden Gallagher. Yes, it was their decision to sign up to compete against girls, but there's a reason that kids are not allowed to decide for themselves. They're not capable. That's why they have parents. Where are the parents? Why would you allow your child to be publicly humiliated, to be booed off stage by every other parent in the crowd? Why would you put your kid in a position to be an outcast amongst their peers? I don't know the situation. Aayden Gallagher might have wonderful parents. I don't know. I just don't understand why you would allow something like this to happen to your child. Well, Casey, why aren't you criticizing the parents who were booing? If they didn't boo, this would not be a problem. I would imagine that other parents were pissed off. If your daughter worked hard all season and had her first place finish taken by someone who was born a boy, wouldn't you be kind of aggravated and upset too? Some claim the solution is to have a transgender division. Now, that idea sounds great theoretically, but I think the reason that you don't see a transgender division, there's not enough participation. Now, of course, all of us, we all know the easiest solution. But give me your thoughts on this. Parents in Oregon outraged. They boo the winner of the state championships in track and field. Was that an appropriate response? Do you think it was justified? Do you think it's okay for adults, for parents to boo a kid? You let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.